Hey collectors, I just had to make this quick video because we are truly being blessed. I've got to admit, I did not have this on my 2026 bingo card. The announcement is that we are getting Stranger Things on 4K and Blu-ray as a complete boxed set from Arrow Video. This is kind of a big deal, or actually, it's not just kind of a big deal, it's a huge deal. So let's talk about it. Okay, so admittedly, if you've been following me at all, you'll know that I am a big fan of Stranger Things early season 1, season 2. Not quite as big a fan of the more recent seasons. I made a video about this a few months ago, kind of expressing my feelings and talking about how I feel like it's lost some of its magic over time. But despite my feelings of the newer seasons, this announcement goes way beyond just liking or not liking the show. So bear with me and let's dig a little bit deeper on why this goes beyond just maybe forking out some money on something that you like. And let's ask ourselves, what does this mean for the future of physical media? So if you're even a little bit into physical media or collecting, this announcement is honestly pretty wild. On the one side, we've got Arrow Video stepping into the world of television, which already is a first for them, I believe. They've built their name on, curated films, kind of restorations, and, boutique selections. So mainstream streaming television shows, that's new territory for them. And then, on the other hand, you've got Netflix, a streaming company that barely ever releases any of its content physically. And they're suddenly deciding to partner with Boutique Label on one of their absolute biggest flagship series. So this hits on a few different levels, right? First off, preservation. As we know, streaming isn't forever, right? Shows get altered, they get pulled, they get compressed, whatever. So a full physical release means that Stranger Things actually exists in a stable, high quality format forever. That second level is the quality that I just mentioned. Arrow Video is a highly regarded boutique label, and that's specifically because they don't just dump content onto discs. If they do decide to treat this just like they would any of the other film releases of theirs, we could be looking at real top tier 4K transfers with real quality, high dynamic range color grading, and meaningful behind the scenes content, not to mention quality packaging. From their announcement, we already know that all of the seasons will be receiving a Dolby Vision treatment for the HDR, and seasons 4 and 5 will be receiving a Dolby Atmos sound treatment. And we're getting a 140 plus art booklet, as well as 5 or 6 hours of behind the scenes content. This sounds incredible to me. Now, the third level that hits is possibly the biggest one, and for me, that's validation. This is a major signal that physical media is still worth investing in today, even for modern streaming giants like Netflix. This is a huge win for collectors, right? And I think it's a direct reflection of how our current culture is feeling about streaming overload. You've seen it recently, right? There's a lot of articles out there that have titles like DVDs are the new vinyl records, and that younger generations, not just millennials or older people like myself, are out there seeking to start collecting and taking in physical media because they're looking for that ownership and they're looking for that connection with the art that just can't be replicated through the cloud. And Stranger Things is quite a phenomenon that really has hit over 2 separate generations, right? It's kind of like Harry Potter in that sense, where my generation started watching the first seasons when our children were too young to be part of that. But, 10 years later, by the time we've gotten to the end, that new generation are all encompassed into this. They're all part of Stranger Things now, part of that culture. And that sort of fandom is something that doesn't happen very often. So, in a sense, this is a very, very smart choice. That said, what is fascinating to me here a little bit is the pairing of Netflix with Arrow Video. Like I said, Arrow Video is known for cult, horror, and carefully curated cinema, right? Not exactly mass market television. And Netflix, on the other hand, only usually plays in the physical media space with very specific partnerships, like their releases that they do with the Criterion Collection for some of their more prestige entries with Oscar buzz, like Frankenstein that is coming, as well as K-pop Demon Hunters, all Oscar-nominated movies, Oscar winners. But there's others too, right? Like Mudbound, or Flow, or The Irishman. They're also known, however, to work with other companies like G-Kids for some of their animated shows, right? So recently, we have gotten from G-Kids and Netflix the Arcane series, which, side note, is fantastic. I love it. It looks great. And actually, another side note or side thought, it's very interesting to me that they just announced K-pop Demon Hunters last week with the Criterion Collection, creating a lot of buzz there. And now a week later, they're announcing Stranger Things with Arrow Video. Is this some sort of strategy that they're putting together, or are they really trying to give the people what we want? I'm guessing it's probably a little bit of both. But regardless of all of that, getting back to Stranger Things, looking at both sides, this definitely does feel like a shift. We've got Arrow Video moving more into the mainstream, and we've got Netflix who's testing the waters for premium physical releases of their most prestigious flagship series. If this does well, and I think it will, this is opening the door a lot. We could start seeing more Netflix originals getting the boutique treatment, other streaming services following suit, right? Disney kind of already is doing it a little bit with their Star Wars shows and their Marvel shows. And Amazon is doing it just a little bit here and there too. For example, they've released Fallout, but nothing quite to this extent. But here's the big if, right? We could also start seeing television shows being treated with the same level of care that collectors are expecting from their favorite films. And imagine a future where physical media isn't just about, legacy titles, but about current era streaming content getting preserved properly. The dream, right? Now, this is where it gets fun, at least for me, because if this is the start of something new, then the question is, what could be next? Personally, I'd love to see a few things coming. And Arrow Video, Netflix, if you are watching this, this is me sitting on your lap like a little kid, speaking to Santa Claus, giving you my wish list. Let's start with Mindhunter, right? David Fincher, and a show that feels like a perfect type of boutique release. It's dark, it's gritty, it has the full recipe to be just a fantastic Arrow Video type of release. Another one would be The Haunting of Hill House, which we did already get as a Blu-ray, but imagine the HDR Dolby Vision on that show, plus extra content that might show you behind the scenes how everything was made. That would be quite something. But if we're going there, I'll do even better. Midnight Mass. Talk about the type of show and content that's right up both of their alleys. I would also love to see the highly underrated, overly forgotten Maniac show starring Emma Stone and Jonah Hill. There's some incredible scenes in that, so much great lighting, some really A24 type of content. It's a masterpiece. Or on the more practical effects side of things, let's talk about Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance. Collectors, who remembers the Netflix original Dark Crystal television show that was done completely with practical effects? Could you imagine what that might look like in a collection? And there are probably dozens upon dozens of hours of special features behind the scenes that would just be fantastic for a collector to have. So honestly, I could go on with this list. I think this is, like I said, the fun part. We can imagine, we can dream. Squid Game comes to mind. I know that's a fan favorite. The OA is also a show that deserves way more recognition and that I'd love to see a physical copy of. But I'll be honest and say that there's only really one show that I wish to see this done with. And if I could give up all of the other ones for just one package, one release, one physical treatment of a show on Netflix, collectors, that is Dark. One of the absolute greatest international science fiction thrillers ever put to screen. It's just begging for a premium box set. I would love to see Dark come to a collection. So, collectors, this announcement might end up being one of those moments we look back to as a turning point. Because if companies like Arrow Video start working with streaming platforms on a regular basis, we might actually be entering a new era where physical media and streaming don't necessarily compete with each other, but are able to complement one another. And honestly, that is the best case scenario for collectors like us. Now, I'll be completely honest and transparent. I am skeptically excited about the prospects in the future. They've opened this door for us, and we can see, right, the potential out there behind the door, inside that room. The question is, will that door actually stay open? Only time and our support, of these releases will tell. Okay, but that's it for me. I am curious about your thoughts on this. Is this a one-off, or is this the start of something much bigger? And what's your dream physical release of a streaming show? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching. Consider subscribing if you'd like to hear more of this content, talk more about physical media, about books, about vinyl records, about gaming. I appreciate all of you. Until next time, keep collecting.